For 6 pence at the end of the Victorian period, a working man in Leeds could enjoy a Turkish bath at the Spa on Quarry Hill. For another 6 pence, he could also afford a night in one of the common lodging houses nearby on York Street, although he may have had to share it with another, either in a shift pattern or on the same night. If a person had a skilled trade or could combine their income with other working family members, there were properties to rent. If income was sporadic, for whatever reasons, and a person could not afford a night in a common lodging house, there was the missions, the workhouse, or a night on the streets. Such was life in the city of Leeds at that time. Which raises the question, why were so many people across the UK being attracted from the countryside into the cities? Well, the answer is complex, but there are 3 reasons that come to mind: opportunity, choice, and the lack of those, particularly employment, in the countryside. It is estimated the population of Leeds grew from approximately 30,000 in 1800 to around 180,000 a century later. Some of the growth was organic, but most of it was through migration, accompanying massive building programs of houses, factories and transport links, although the supply of adequate housing did not always keep pace. Work was available and people were attracted into the city to take up the opportunities. A labourer could earn 3 shillings and 9 pence for 10 hours a day, 6 days a week. An experienced bricklayer, 6 shillings and 6 pence. There were jobs available for men and women, and when the work was done, there was a wide choice of places in the bright lights of Leeds to spend any cash that was left over. Many of the workers chose to spend their spare wages in the multitude of public houses around the growing township, but some visited the wide range of other recreations the city had to offer, including the music halls, such as Thornton's new music hall, which opened in 1865 as a singing room built over the White Swan Inn and later became known as City Varieties. The railways aided the expansion of the cities and allowed local sporting teams to travel, and so sports like cricket, football and rugby began to be organised, with agreed rules, national competitions and crowds. There were old favourites such as going to the circus or the traditional theatres, but the invention of the moving picture during the 1890s meant that cinema became an additional draw to living in cities like Leeds. A scan through the Victorian censuses shows many of the people moving into Leeds at that time were from other parts of Yorkshire, but other parts of England, Ireland, Scotland and Wales also feature strongly. A large Irish community developed and flourished and continued to grow during the 20th century. The contributions made by Irishmen in the building of the railways and other infrastructure around Leeds was enormous, but that is just one aspect of the contribution men and women made to the fabric, culture and identity of the city. International migrants also made Leeds their home. Jewish migrants, for example, from Eastern Europe escaped persecution and developed a community, at first in the Leylands area of Leeds. Montague Burton and Michael Marks are just 2 examples of international migrants who joined the citizens of Leeds and made a difference to its influence, both economically and socially. Montague Burton was the founder of Burton Menswear, one of Britain's largest chains of clothes shops. Michael Marks, along with Thomas Spencer, founded Marks and Spencer's. The growth of cities in the Victorian period resulted from the desire of many to find work or improve their wages. As more and more people moved to the towns and cities, they gained in some ways: more food, better clothing, more goods to buy. But they also suffered in the filthy slums of the cities and in harsh treatment related to factory work. However, the concentration of manufacturing in larger towns and cities had undermined the viability of cottage industries, which had once provided work for women and children in the countryside, and local craftsmen could not compete with machine-made goods. Urban areas not only offered jobs with higher pay, but promised a varied and appealing social life, which appealed particularly to young men and young women who found life in a small community in the countryside both oppressive and dull. Ultimately, the concentration of people in towns and cities led to new political ideas spreading, especially with the railways and the development of national newspapers. The Education Acts created a more learned working class. Living conditions in cities improved, and increasing class consciousness meant trade unions and the labour movement fought for the rights and benefits of the working people. The cities were here to stay.